Have you ever wondered why some people seem stuck in a hamster wheel of doom, working until they drop like a tired cartoon character? They seem trapped in an endless cycle of earning and spending, barely getting ahead like Sisyphus pushing a rock up a hill. Meanwhile, others quietly build wealth and escape the rat race entirely, sipping Mai Tais on a beach while you sit in traffic. What if I told you the difference isn't luck, inheritance, or being the secret nephew of Mr. Burns? It isn't some secret knowledge available only to the wealthy elite or the Stonecutters Club. The truth is, there are specific financial behaviors that act like invisible chains, heavier than the ones on a haunting ghost. These chains keep ordinary people locked in mediocrity while their money slowly bleeds away through decisions that look harmless. My name is Barry, and I help people understand how small financial choices create massive disasters or victories over time. If you're tired of running on a financial treadmill that goes nowhere and want to discover the hidden traps sabotaging you, listen up. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button if you want to break free from these costly mistakes. Here is something that might surprise you more than finding out Maggie is the one who shot Mr. Burns. According to recent studies, the majority of middle-class families are living paycheck to paycheck, despite earning what looks like decent money. This isn't just about people flipping burgers or struggling with unemployment, it goes way deeper than that. We are talking about families with college degrees, professional careers, and fancy LinkedIn profiles that mean nothing. On the surface, they have comfortable lifestyles, nice cars, and perfectly manicured suburban lawns. Yet, underneath all those shiny toys lies a troubling reality that is rotting like a bad tooth. They are financially fragile, teetering on the edge of a cliff without a parachute, just one emergency away from serious trouble. One bad medical bill or a surprise layoff, and their entire house of cards comes crashing down instantly. But what is even more shocking is that most of these people have absolutely no idea they are trapped. They have fallen victim to what I call middle-class money traps, invisible prisons of their own making. These are subtle financial behaviors that seem reasonable or even smart in the moment, like buying a monorail for a small town. But in reality, they systematically destroy wealth over time, leaving you broke, confused, and blaming the economy. These traps are so common and socially accepted that questioning them feels almost revolutionary or crazy. Today, I'm going to expose the most dangerous of these wealth-destroying habits, dragging them into the light. We will start with some that might seem harmless, but are actually costing you tens of thousands of dollars over your lifetime. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why so many seemingly successful people never build real wealth. More importantly, you'll learn how you can avoid their fate and actually keep the money you work so hard for. Before we dive into the specific traps, let me paint a picture of what financial freedom actually looks like. It's not about driving luxury cars that scream "I'm insecure" or living in mansions like a Bond villain. Real wealth is having options, the ability to say no to a boss or a situation you hate. It is being able to take calculated risks because you have a safety net made of cash, not debt. It is choosing your career based on passion and growth potential rather than just desperate immediate paycheck needs. It is sleeping peacefully at night knowing that your money is working for you, creating more money while you snore. Now, contrast that with the financial reality most people experience every single day of their working lives. They work 40 or more hours per week, grinding away, yet their bank accounts barely grow from year to year. They might get raises, but somehow their expenses always seem to rise to meet their income, eating every penny. They feel like they're making progress by upgrading their lifestyle, buying bigger TVs to watch sadder news. But they are actually moving further away from financial independence with each passing year, chained to their desks. The cruel irony is that many of these wealth-destroying behaviors are marketed to us as signs of success. Society applauds when you buy a bigger house you don't need, or get a newer car you can't afford. They cheer for your standard of living while ignoring your standard of dying broke. But what society doesn't tell you is that these decisions represent the difference between building wealth and staying poor forever. Let's start with one of the most expensive mistakes that middle-class families make without even realizing it. This trap is so normalized in our culture that most people never question it, like eating donuts at the power plant. The first major trap is what I call investment ignorance, and it is absolutely devastating to your future. Here is the brutal reality: the majority of people have no idea what they are actually invested in. They participate in employer retirement plans, treating them like a mystery box they are afraid to open. They sign up for the program, maybe get the match, and then completely forget about it for decades. Think about how absurd this is for a moment. You work hard for your money, then ignore what happens to it. These same people would spend hours researching which television to buy, comparing pixels and contrast ratios. But when it comes to investments that determine your entire future, they operate on complete autopilot like a zombie. They let someone else make decisions about their life savings without understanding a single thing about where the money goes. The financial consequences of this ignorance are staggering, costing you more than a settlement with a vindictive ex-spouse. Let me give you a concrete example that will blow your mind faster than a squishy brain freeze. Imagine two people who both invest the same amount of money over their careers, dollar for dollar. Person A ends up with a portfolio worth $600,000, which barely buys a closet in today's market. Person B ends up with over $1 million, sitting pretty on a throne made of cash. The only difference between them was the investment choices they made, proving that ignorance is expensive. That is not a small difference, that is the difference between owning a yacht and floating on a leaking dinghy. That is hundreds of thousands of dollars destroyed simply because someone didn't read the manual. Yet, this scenario plays out millions of times with people accidentally choosing garbage investments. They pick funds with high fees simply because they never took the time to look under the hood. Investment ignorance also means falling victim to fees that eat your returns like termites in a wooden leg. It means making emotional decisions during market downturns, selling at the bottom like a panicked amateur. But here is what is really frustrating about this trap: it is completely avoidable if you just open your eyes. You don't need to be a financial wizard, you just need to stop being lazy with your future. This leads us directly into the second major trap that keeps people stuck in the middle class. I am talking about the addiction to active trading and the delusion that you can time the market. You might think this doesn't apply to you if you aren't screaming orders on the floor of the NYSE. But this trap is subtle, creeping into your brain like a catchy jingle you can't stop humming. It starts when you notice markets moving up and down, and you get the arrogant idea that you can predict it. You think you can outsmart the system by buying low and selling high, which is a fantasy. This sounds logical, appealing to our desire for control, but it is actually a financial suicide mission. Trying to time the market is a reliable way to destroy wealth, proven by decades of sad data. Even professional fund managers with supercomputers struggle to beat simple index funds consistently. Yet somehow, you think you can beat them while trading on your phone during a bathroom break. The mathematics of market timing are brutal, punishing the average investor for their hubris. Studies show people earn lower returns because they buy when happy and sell when terrified. They miss the best performing days because they are sitting on the sidelines waiting for a sign. It is like waiting for a polite conversation at Moe's Tavern, you are going to wait forever. Even more insidious is how this behavior becomes addictive, giving you a rush like fresh tobacco. Each small win reinforces the lie that you are a genius, while losses are dismissed as bad luck. People spend enormous energy on an activity that makes them poorer, thinking they are being productive. It is not investing, it is gambling with a tie on, and the house always wins eventually. The transaction costs alone can be devastating, eating your portfolio alive like a swarm of locusts. Every trade involves fees and taxes that chip away at your returns until nothing is left. This brings us to the third trap, which is particularly painful because it involves the government. I am talking about the complete failure to engage in tax planning, which is borderline negligent. Most people treat taxes like the weather, assuming they can't control it or predict it. They file their returns in April, pay what the software says, and don't think about it again. This passive approach is an expensive mistake that bleeds you dry year after year. Here is the reality: taxes are likely your single biggest expense, bigger than your mortgage. For many families, taxes consume more money than housing, food, and transportation combined. Yet, you spend hours researching how to save $50 on a phone bill while ignoring the IRS. You never invest time in learning how to legally reduce your tax burden, which is just sad. The missed opportunities are everywhere, hiding in plain sight like a secret lever in a bookcase. Retirement account contributions could slash your tax bill while building your future wealth. Health savings accounts offer triple tax advantages, yet most people treat them like junk mail. Strategic timing of income and deductions could move you between tax brackets like a ninja. But perhaps the most costly mistake is failing to understand how different income types are taxed. Earned income from your job faces the highest tax rates, punishing you for actually sweating for a living. Meanwhile, investment income gets preferential treatment, taxing the money made from sitting on your butt at a lower rate. Most middle-class families focus exclusively on earning more from their jobs, which is like running harder into a headwind. They ignore building streams of tax-efficient income through investments, missing the point entirely. The wealthy don't pay lower rates because they are cheating or breaking the law like a cartoon villain. They pay less because they structure their finances to use incentives available to everyone, including you. They work with competent tax professionals who help them strategize throughout the year, playing chess while you play checkers. You, on the other hand, try to clean up a year's worth of mess in one panic-filled night in April. While you are focused on earning your next meager raise, the wealthy focus on keeping what they have. This passive approach to taxes is why you feel broke despite working all the time. The fourth trap destroying middle-class wealth is something I call change paralysis, and it is psychologically brutal. It is the tendency to stay stuck in miserable situations simply because doing something new feels scary. You know your current job is underpaying you by 30% compared to the market rate. But switching companies means dealing with new people and learning new systems, which sounds exhausting. You realize your apartment is eating up too much income, but moving is a hassle involving cardboard boxes. So you keep paying inflated rent month after month, letting your landlord get rich off your laziness. Meanwhile, inflation is steadily eroding your purchasing power like rust on an old car. Your peers are advancing in their careers while you stay frozen in carbonite like Han Solo. Change feels scary, so you convince yourself that stability is more important than growth. You tell yourself you are being conservative, but you are actually being reckless by refusing to adapt. The mathematics of change avoidance are depressing enough to make you cry into your pillow. Let's say you could increase your income by 20% by switching jobs, but you wait 3 years. On a $50,000 salary, that is $30,000 in lost income you will never get back. That doesn't even count the compound effect on your savings, making the loss even bigger. That is a pretty expensive comfort zone you are living in, costing you a literal fortune. The tragedy is that people overestimate the risk of change while ignoring the risk of staying put. They worry about what might go wrong if they move, but ignore what is definitely going wrong now. Your current situation feels safe, but if you aren't moving forward, you are drowning. This brings us to the fifth trap, which is insidious because it disguises itself as responsibility. I am talking about the systematic avoidance of real estate, usually based on fear and bad advice. I am not saying you should rush out and buy a mansion like Mr. Burns just to impress your neighbors. Real estate can be a terrible investment if you buy the wrong property at the wrong time, leaving you underwater. But for many middle-class families, the systematic avoidance of ownership is a massive wealth destroyer. According to federal data, the median net worth of homeowners is dramatically higher than renters, and it's not even close. We are talking about a difference of hundreds of thousands of dollars, enough to buy a small island. Some of this is due to other factors, but a huge chunk comes from the forced savings mechanism of a mortgage. Here is the thing about renting that hurts my soul: 100% of that money disappears forever into a black hole. When you pay a mortgage, a portion builds equity that actually belongs to you, acting like a piggy bank. Over time, as the loan balance goes down and values go up, you build wealth automatically while sleeping. It's the lazy man's way to riches, requiring zero effort beyond paying your bill on time. Real estate also provides inflation protection, acting like a shield against the rising cost of living. When the price of milk and gas skyrockets, your fixed-rate mortgage payment stays exactly the same forever. It effectively becomes cheaper in real terms over time, like paying off a debt with monopoly money. Meanwhile, if you are renting, your landlord raises the price every year just because he can. Then there are the tax advantages, which are sweet enough to give you cavities. Mortgage interest and property taxes are often deductible, lowering your bill to Uncle Sam significantly. If you ever sell your primary residence, you can exclude massive capital gains from taxation entirely. Renters get absolutely none of these benefits, they just get a cardboard box when they move out. Yet, people convince themselves that renting is smarter, calculating monthly costs while ignoring the big picture. They treat housing purely as an expense rather than an investment, which is a fundamental error. The sixth trap is the most counterintuitive because it involves avoiding something scary: risk. The irony is that by trying to avoid all risk, you guarantee that you will never build significant wealth. This risk aversion shows up everywhere, like keeping all your money in a savings account earning 0.01%. You are terrified the stock market might go down, so you choose an investment that is guaranteed to lose value to inflation. It means staying in a dead-end job because starting a business feels too dangerous, even with a solid plan. You prioritize the illusion of safety over the reality of growth, stagnating like a pond of algae. Here is the fundamental truth about risk that most people misunderstand: not taking risks is extremely risky. When you play it safe, you are actually betting that nothing will ever change, which is a losing bet. When you stay in a low-paying job to avoid career risk, you risk your skills becoming obsolete. You risk waking up at 65 realizing you never reached your potential because you were too afraid to try. The wealthy understand that intelligent risk-taking is not gambling like Krusty the Clown at the dog track. It is making calculated decisions where the potential rewards justify the losses, counting cards legally. They don't risk money they can't afford to lose, because staying in the game is the whole point. But they also don't let fear prevent them from grabbing opportunities that could change their lives forever. This connects directly to our seventh and final trap, which is the most fun way to stay poor. I am talking about the destructive habit of rewarding yourself financially just because you worked hard. This might sound harsh, like a rejection letter from a safety school, but stick with me. This behavior pattern is absolutely devastating to long-term wealth building, acting like a leak in a submarine. The psychology is understandable. You work 50 hours a week dealing with incompetence and stress. You feel like you deserve a tangible reward, like a dog getting a treat for sitting. So you buy yourself something nice, splurge on a fancy dinner, or book a vacation you can't afford. You tell yourself I earned it, but what you really earned is a longer sentence in the rat race. The problem is that this thinking ignores the opportunity cost, which is the ghost of money past. That $300 dinner might feel like a small reward, but invested over 20 years, it is over $2,000. That vacation costing $5,000 represents tens of thousands in lost wealth when you account for compound growth. You are literally eating your own retirement and wearing your future financial freedom as a shirt. More importantly, this reward-based spending becomes a psychological trap that prevents you from ever building assets. Every time your income increases, your sense of what you deserve increases right along with it. You get a raise, so you deserve a nicer car that depreciates faster than a banana in the sun. You get a promotion, so you deserve a bigger apartment with higher rent and utility bills. This pattern ensures that no matter how much you earn, you will always spend it all. You end up trapped in a high-income lifestyle without any actual wealth to show for it. Look, I know this has been a lot to digest, like a three-eyed fish from the nuclear plant. You might feel overwhelmed by all the ways your decisions are working against you right now. But here is the thing that should make you feel hopeful: every single one of these traps is avoidable. You don't need to inherit millions or find a winning lottery ticket in the trash. The people who escape these traps aren't smarter than you, they just make different choices with their money. They chose to learn about investments instead of ignoring them like a check engine light. They embraced calculated risks and treated tax planning seriously, unlike the rest of the herd. The beautiful irony is that compound interest can work for you instead of against you. Your financial future isn't determined by your family background or your current pathetic bank balance. It is determined by the decisions you make starting today, right here, right now. So, which of these traps have you been falling into like a cartoon character stepping on a rake? More importantly, which one will you start avoiding first to save your financial soul? The choice is entirely yours, and no one else is coming to save you from your bad habits. But I promise you this: your future self will thank you for making the hard choice today.